يا حي يا قيوم.
Yo, peace and blessings, you know what it is, Imam_OG, you know me. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that. Don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the bells for notification, you know what I'm talking about, all that fly shit. Subscribe to the channel, you know what I'm talking about, share the video. Today we're gonna be building on we keep digging on this Native American thing, you know what I'm talking about, because I done studied a lot of stuff. I've always considered myself to be conscious or awake, you know what I'm talking about. So I guess the camera's over here. So we're gonna get into this, man, and we're gonna keep building on this. We're gonna keep digging on this, because I've already known, you know what I'm talking about, that I have Native American ancestry in my family, you know what I'm talking about, just from family pictures and just from oral history, you know what I'm talking about, like what the family discusses, you know what I'm saying, and about my great-grandmother being full-blooded Cherokee, you know what I'm saying. But of course we're not on the Dow's rolls or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. But we're gonna get into all that, man. I just want to make this video because, there's a lot of controversy in the so-called black community right now about this whole Native American aboriginal thing. And you got the agents, you know what I'm talking about, giving us all this fake black news, you know what I'm talking about, that fake black news, you know what I'm talking about, because black is not, it means nothing, my nigga. You know what I'm talking about? My coat is black. My sweater's black. You know what I'm talking about? Here go black and white. That's black and white. So what they said was, what's this nigga name? White boy name, Walter Pecker, whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah, Walter Plecker. You know what I'm talking about? Walter Plecker. He say, either you this or you that. Tell them on the paperwork. Either they this or they that. Ain't no in between. You know what I'm talking about? This is how everything got lost in the sauce, and this is how they keeping us, the aboriginal, the real Americans, so-called Negroes. This is how they're keeping us from attaining our heritage. And we're going to go into it because I just want to show you guys a little information, everybody out here watching, because there's a lot of people who feel like, oh, you niggas just follow Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway, your leader. Wah. Look, my nigga, bro just brought the information to the surface. But once you get to digging and researching on your own, you'll see that this is not a new thing. You know what I'm talking about? They classified the dark-skinned Native Americans, they classified them as free men. You know what I'm talking about? And made them be something separate. You know what I mean? So they could make sure no niggas, no Negroes were going to be able to have an entitlement to our heritage. You know what I'm talking about? That's basically what it's about. And you got niggas been fighting for decades, probably a century, you know what I'm talking about, to get what's entitled to them as being the aboriginal people, the true natives. You know what I'm talking about? So we just going to watch a couple videos, man. You know how we do. Welcome to Hawk School. You know what I'm talking about? Too high for pigeons to fly. Walk on the water and live in the sky. So we're going to get into it, man. Without further ado, as Trill Saucy would say, salute to my nephew. We're going to get to this. Now, this right here, man.
Plotted as private.
This is Sam Ford. This is a 1990 broadcast on the news, and bruh doing a genealogy on his ancestors and all this. You know what I'm talking about? So, like I say, this ain't new, man. This is a 38-year-old news report. You know what I'm talking about? 40 years old. And y'all want to act like, oh, this just, Dane Calloway, y'all following Dane Calloway? Look, bruh just woke. Bruh brought it to the surface, you know what I'm saying? And put everything in such a concise, he has all the information. It's all corroborated in such a concise and understandable way that it's becoming undeniable. But, it's some of us out here who's willing to research, willing to read books, you know what I mean? And once you put yourself in that position to find the information, then the information is going to be out there. It's out here, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't new, bro. This ain't no shit that just started this year. This ain't start on YouTube. This didn't start with Dane Calloway. This been going on forever, my nigga. Let's get into it. So, Sam Ford, 1990. This his news report. Let's see what he talking about.
Slaves were called freed men, and the freedmen of the Indians had reason to dance. No, they weren't rich, but since they were now citizens of the tribe, and the tribe owned all the land, there was no need to sharecrop.
Now that they were citizens of the tribe, and the tribe owned all of the land, there was no reason for them to sharecrop. You know what I'm talking about? Because this is what they were. They was indentured servants, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody wasn't chained up getting beat. You know what I'm saying? It was a whole different way that the world was ran, man. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to get into it, man. So, boom. They citizens of the tribe. The tribe owns the land. We entitled to the land. Look. Ain't nobody talking to this bitch.
My web search turned something up for Hey Citizens.
Ain't nobody talking to her. Motherfucking AI. Alright. So, let me get back to what I'm saying. What did it say? I digress. Basically, they want to take away the fact that we're the true Native Americans. Because we're entitled to this land, bro. We're entitled to this land because this is the land of our ancestors, our forefathers. We was already here owning it. But through paper genocide and the eugenics movement, you know what I'm talking about, and all this kind of shit, they separated everybody into black or white category. That's it. It's only black or white, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? All that shit you see on your application, Alaska, Native American, that shit wasn't on there. Now they try to throw it on there like to make you think that people have always had the option to say, oh, I'm Puerto Rican. Bro, it was black or white. You know what I'm saying? Let's go.
Stake a claim, build a cabin, start a farm. And there was the black vote. Witness this Seminole election in which they counted one candidate supporter.
Hold on, pause. Did he say the black vote? The black vote? I thought we was all slaves. We was voting. I thought the white man let us vote with the Constitution. The Seminole elections? Don't Seminole mean runaway? Aren't those the Native Americans? Aren't those the blacks? They having an election?
On the left side of the street, the other candidates on the right. To gain control of the Cherokee capital in Tahlequah, chiefs like Lewis Downing campaigned heavily for the black vote, as did Chief Spaichi for control of the Creek capital in Okmulgee.
The Creeks appointed and elected blacks as judges, attorneys. They were private secretaries. They were members of the council. And of course, the three black towns in the Creek Nation had representatives in both the House of Kings and the House of Warriors.
Silas Jefferson was even a...
The House of Kings, my nigga. And the House of Warriors. I'm going to have to change my YouTube channel to the House of Kings, dog. What y'all think, man? If y'all think we should change it to House of Kings for Hawk School, you know what I'm saying? That's fire, right? We're going to change it to House of Kings. You know what I'm talking about? Because we've been about this life. Look at Silas. Look at Triple OG Silas right here. He a chief, man. Chalk. Nigga, you see this nigga suit, boy? See this nigga suit? Why y'all want everybody to think we came from slavery, nigga? You want us to be victims? You know what I'm talking about? Old Me Too ass nigga. Yeah, all right.
Elected one of the Creek chiefs and was among the delegation any time that the Creeks had business in Washington.
Okay. Okay, my bad. I said Choctaw, didn't I? Let's rewind. I think we don't want niggas acting like I'm out here giving false information. He Choctaw, right? Silas. Yeah, you see him. He Choctaw.
None of the lynchings or terror of the white South, Indian Territory became a mecca for blacks, even though many never gained citizenship. At least 25 black towns sprang up, some still around, like Taft, Redbird, and Tallahassee, where on a warm day, they still bring out the kitchen table for a game of dominoes.
I'm out of here. What? How you get done? I'm out of here. I'm glad you did.
There were black lawmen among the Creek Nation Light Horse Police, deputy U.S. Marshals like Bass Reeves, who killed 14 outlaws without ever being wounded. And there were...
Hold on, Bass Reeves. Hold on. Who granddaddy is that? Whose granddaddy is that, man? This nigga mustache, man. I'm about to let my mustache grow out like the triple OG. You know what I'm talking about? This nigga say he killed 14 outlaws without a scratch on him, so you know the Holy Spirit with him and this nigga ordained to do what he doing, dog. And look at my nigga Dip. Fuck you talking about, nigga? You see how fresh my nigga is? Huh? Slave? What you think he look like? He from let some white man slap him in his fucking face? He don't even look like that type of nigga. You know how I know? Because he look like me. And I ain't that type of nigga. But you got these niggas who are these type of niggas giving us this misinformation. Matter of fact, these niggas, they talking about let them smack them in the face. These niggas out here, these agent ass niggas who want to teach you that we are not the aboriginals, we're not the natives, that you African and you from Africa. These niggas let the European come slap them right on their ass. They them kind of niggas.
Marshals like Bass Reeves, who killed 14 outlaws without ever being wounded. And there were outlaws, killers like Cherokee Bill, part black, part Cherokee, or the Buck Rufus gang of Creeks and Creek freedmen. And there were the rowdies.
Buck Rufus gang, nigga. The rowdies. Gang, nigga. This shit ain't new, man. This shit ain't new, bruh. This shit is not new, my nigga. This shit didn't start with Dane Calloway.
They got enough whiskey in them while they shoot the town up.
You ever had to run from a shoot up?
I half crawled on the bed.
My great-great-uncle Willis was among those rowdies. You may recall my great-grandmother Phyllis Pettit's story of how her...
You seen this? You seen that picture, haven't y'all? Okay, that's Phyllis Pettis, and this her grandson, her great-grandson. He telling his story. Why you niggas talking about, oh, well, the niggas trace their genealogy, what? Man, this nigga family got land, bro, because they can trace they genealogy. They can trace their lineage to know, you know what I'm talking about, what tribe they belong to, so they can get what's rightfully due to them. And that's the same thing these niggas on here telling you black, you know what I'm talking about, you African American. This what they keeping you from. You niggas, man, this why these niggas is agents. This why these niggas put in place, bro, because this shit ain't new, bro. Try to trick us out of our shit, bro. They been doing this forever. And they been keeping on some snitching niggas on deck. Some lying ass niggas on deck. Siding with them on that bullshit. And you gonna see one. Let it ride.
Her husband's mother was sold by his Cherokee master.
He looked down a long lane after her just as long as he could see her and cried after her.
While George Pettit turned out okay, his brother Willis spent 1877 in the national prison for shooting...
In the national prison. Hold on.
You may recall my great-grandmother Phyllis Pettit's story of how her husband's mother was sold by his Cherokee master.
He looked down a long lane after her just as long as he could see her and cried after her.
While George Pettit turned out okay, his brother Willis spent 1877 in the national prison.
What's that say, bro? They want to tell you European came up here and civilized the whole fucking continent, my nigga. Taught niggas how to live, how to vote, how to have a civilized society, how to organize. But see, I'm gonna tell you about that. Man, Samusa and them already came over here and showed y'all how to run a society. 1874, my nigga. Cherokee National Prison. Shit ain't new, bruh.
For shooting up the capital of Tahlequah. 5 years later, it was more serious. In March 1882, the Cherokee Advocate reported in both English and Cherokee, murder trial in Tahlequah, the capital. The Cherokee Nation versus Willis Pettit. The transcript still exists today. It seems 2 weeks earlier, Willis was having an argument with his wife, Julia, when his mother-in-law, Margaret Bird, said something, so he shot her. It all happened in the home of a sick woman that the two women were visiting. Among the numerous witnesses was one Henry Bowe, who testified that the day of the murder, Willis had tried to sell him his house and his hogs for $65. He said his wife had...
Look at this nigga right here. He on the stand. I told you, man, they keep them some snitching ass niggas, dog. This shit ain't new, bro. I'm trying to tell y'all this shit ain't new, bro. This jive ass nigga they done sketched out on her telling. Now, the reason I paused the video for real, because the nigga say that he offered to sell him his farm and his hogs. Now, the nigga, this 1877 when the nigga's supposed to get jammed up, right? So in 1877, the nigga who getting jammed up, he got a farm and he got hogs. And they say he done shot his mother-in-law. Supposedly it's supposed to be an accident, right? But he shot his mother-in-law, so the nigga got guns. The nigga got guns. The nigga got land. The nigga got property. You know what I'm saying? The nigga going to court. The nigga doing time in jail. This 1877, bruh. Come on, dog. What year was Dane Calloway born, nigga? Huh? Since you think he started this, that this some shit he just made up? That niggas just followers? Man, read a fucking book, man. Stop watching these lame-ass niggas go live for 3 hours talking about how they feel about shit, what they think. Man, don't nobody care what you think. You know what think mean? You know what think mean? It mean that you trying to know, my nigga. You trying to figure some shit out. Thinking ain't knowing, my nigga. We don't give a fuck what you think. Excuse my language, but you know me. I'm trying to convey a certain energy. Man, we don't give a fuck what you think, dog. Read a book, bruh. And that's why can't nobody tell me, oh, well, so-and-so said it. Man, I don't give a fuck what that nigga said. You know why? Because I read, bruh. I read and I research and I get books, bruh. I get books, my nigga. You know what I'm talking about? About to give a fuck about a nigga YouTube channel? These niggas ain't dropping no science.
Quit him. I said to him, that won't make you sell your place. She'll come back again. He said to me, that's played out. And he cursed and said, I'm going to kill Margaret. While Willis did not take the stand, he had a witness, Maria Shepard, support his defense that Margaret was trying to kill him. As I passed her along the road, testified Maria, she said she would have Willis put away in less time than 2 weeks. But the Cherokee transcripts say the prosecutor asked Maria, what relation are you to Pettit? Not any. Is Willis not in the habit of coming to your house often? He comes there sometimes. How come Margaret to tell you about this? She did not like Willis and did not like me. Why is it that Margaret Bird did not like Willis and you? I do not want to tell about that. I am not going to tell it. The Cherokee Advocate reported, the jury returned a verdict of murder, and Willis, that is his name, was sentenced to be hung until he was dead on the 5th of May next. At a hanging in those days, the public came to watch, and the condemned man was among those.
This Sam Ford right here. You know what I'm talking about? Sam Ford, this who doing a news report, this 1990, this 38 years ago, he done trace his lineage. You know what I'm talking about? So he know where he come from. I think he a Creek. We gonna watch it, you know what I'm saying? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you niggas would love to. But take a look at this face right here, man. This is the face of a Native American, bro. And if that nigga don't look like your uncle, you ain't a nigga either. You probably Chinese or something.
Was expected to make a speech to warn some young person against making the same mistake. The newspaper reported Willis went to the gallows laughing. As for his last words, he said he'd made a mistake. He meant to shoot his wife, Julia. The Oklahoma land rush was the beginning of the end for the 5 Indian republics. 1889, Congress...
Now, the 5 Indian republics, if you just studying this, they talking about the 5 civilized tribes. You know what I'm talking about? Like I said, we learning together, man. This Hawk School, man. The House of Kings, you know what I'm talking about? So, the 5 civilized tribes is just the 5. It's over 500 tribes right now documented, my nigga. Over 500 tribes, you know what I'm talking about? Documented, you know what I mean? But the 5 civilized tribes were the 5, like someone else said, Christianized tribes. These was the niggas who, they was, you know, they knew how to speak English and shit. A lot of these motherfuckers was Europeans who married into the tribe, and that gave them, the tribe recognized them as belonging to the tribe. This is how these Europeans came over and finessed the game. They had married one of the little, say her grandparents, Scottish and Native American. So now she's super light skinned, damn near look like a white girl. So then the European boy come over here, he marry her. Now he in the tribe, all they kids coming out looking European, because we know that you the seed of your father. But according to the Native Americans, certain tribes were matrilineal. So that meant whoever your mother was is what tribe you belong to. But like I said, that's the whole finesse game, because we know you the seed of your father. So if this European come over here and have children with a Scottish and Native American already mixed down, you know what I'm talking about, aboriginal. So now they kids coming out European. You know what I'm talking about? Because it's the seed of their father. You ain't going to plant an apple seed and grow nothing but an apple tree. You know what I'm talking about? So they the seeds of their fathers. And they fathers came over here and was with this law shit. That's how they did the whole paper genocide shit. You know what I'm talking about? With the white boy we was talking about before, Walter Plecker, 1924. What I just wrote it down. 1924, Racial Integrity Act. And that's where they said you either this or that. No matter who you are in America, you either this or that. You know what I'm talking about? You either black or white. And that's how they robbed us out of all of our heritage on paper. You know what I'm talking about? And we're going to get into that.
Had given to anybody fast enough to grab it, much of the land confiscated from the tribes who'd supported the South in the Civil War. 9 years later, Congress made the Indian governments irrelevant by taking title to the land they still held and sending in the Dawes Commission to...
Okay, they made the Indian governments irrelevant. So now you've been taught in school that the Indians were savages, that the Europeans came over here, put clothes on niggas and everything. You know what I'm talking about? So how we got a government? How you gonna make a government irrelevant? Who taught these niggas government? They learned government probably from Mansa Musa and them. These the only niggas came through with straight kingdoms. 1300. You know what I'm talking about? We talking about, what is 1867? That's 500 years, bro. Have you seen what's happened to America in 100 years? We talking about 500 years, bro. You niggas dumb, bro.
Congress had given to anybody fast enough to grab it, much of the land confiscated from the tribes who'd supported the South in the Civil War. 9 years later, Congress made the Indian governments irrelevant.
Made the Indian governments irrelevant. We got government, we got court, we got judges. We just seen a nigga in 1877, he got property, he got guns. You know what I'm talking about? He got a farm. You know what I'm talking about? You niggas been hoodwinked, bruh.
Taking title to the land they still held and sending in the Dawes Commission to split it up and allot it as private farms to the individual Indians and freedmen who were members of the tribes. At mass gatherings like this, they were interviewed to determine whether they were legitimate tribal members or squatters.
See these niggas, bro? You see these?
In the Cherokee Nation, folks like my grandmother, Letitia Ford, had no trouble proving their legitimacy and received deeds to their land. She received 60...
Hold on, bruh. Now you see why these niggas don't want you to recognize who you are. Now you see why these niggas been put in position to tell you something else, my nigga. So you can't get your heritage. So you can't get your deed to your land that's due to you from your ancestors. What'd he say? Listen.
They were interviewed to determine whether they were legitimate tribal members or squatters. In the Cherokee Nation, folks like my grandmother, Letitia Ford, had no trouble proving their legitimacy and received deeds to their land. She received 60 acres. My grandpa...
60 acres, nigga. What could you do with 60 acres? of your ancestors' land that's entitled to you. What could you do with 60 acres of land, my nigga? Do you even know what that look like, bruh? Nigga, the average house is on a acre. Or maybe a half acre, depending upon where you live, nigga. You probably on an acre, nigga. Your backyard, your front yard is a half an acre, nigga. And your house and your driveway and all that, nigga, is a half an acre. You probably live on 1 acre, my nigga, and think you ballin'. And you think you ballin'. But you're entitled to 60, nigga, while you paying rent on an acre. You entitled to 60 in this situation. You know what I'm talking about? But listen, just keep listening.
John Ford was a non-citizen but had access to land through Lutetia and their children. The Fords, John's parents, Harry and Zerilda, had migrated from Kentucky in the 1870s, but Zerilda had died and Harry had remarried a Creek freedman woman.
Hold on. 1870, nigga. 1870, bruh. Niggas got acres, bruh.
My grandpa, John Ford, was a non-citizen but had access to land through Lutetia and their children. The Fords, John's parents, Harry and Zerilda, had migrated from Kentucky in the 1870s, but Zerilda had died and Harry had remarried a Creek freedman woman, gaining access to land as well. But some of the blacks had no connections, had not married citizens, but had established farms on tribal lands. Now, somebody was about to receive an allotment that included their farms. In the Tallahassee community in the Creek Nation, many of them turned for help to great-grandpa Harry Ford, a Baptist minister, and, says his 85-year-old surviving son Andrew, a
See, there go the freedman, man. He talking about what bro say? What Dane was talking about with the freedman? They went to a school, man, and got Christianized. And so now what is he saying, dude? He's a Baptist minister. He one of the freedmen. These niggas playing the game. They playing along. You know what I'm talking about?
Farmer.
My dad had a big barn, load full of hay, corn. He once had sharecroppers.
But he didn't have gas lights, and that proved tragic when he came.
He had sharecroppers. These the same nigga they tell you slaves working out on the plantation. These niggas sharecroppers, bro. Nigga, you a sharecropper when you work at Walmart, my nigga. You know that? You a sharecropper, nigga. You go put the shit on the shelves, organize the shit, boom, and they give you a little cut, my nigga. Same shit, bro.
To Washington, D.C. that day, seeking someone in authority to help his neighbors keep their land. The October 19th, 1906 Evening Star reported the story. It said he took a cab to a hotel called the Philadelphia House at 348 Pennsylvania Avenue, which is where the National Gallery of Art now is. It said he asked questions around the hotel. Quote, the visitor said he wanted to meet some Baptist ministers in this city as he thought they might assist him to transact some important business.
Bam. So now you got him. You know what I'm talking about? Freedman. He getting money. He looking for the other Baptist ministers. You know what I'm talking about? You know, them niggas was probably handshake gang. You know what I'm talking about? You know what they was on, man. They had their society probably. You know what I'm talking about? I'm speculating on this. This is all speculation. But 1877, ain't that what we? What year is this, man? What year are we, man? It's 1900.
Quote, the visitor said he wanted to meet some Baptist ministers. His neighbors keep their land. The October 19th, 1906 Evening Star.
Okay, 1906. Now we up to 1906. Okay, so you already know the niggas know the handshakes in 1906.
Reported the story. It said he took a cab to a hotel called the Philadelphia House at 348 Pennsylvania Avenue, which is where the National Gallery of Art now is. It said he asked questions around the hotel. Quote, the visitor said he wanted to meet some Baptist ministers in this city as he thought they might assist him to transact some important business in which he was interested. Then he went to bed in a room which had a gas light. My Uncle John Ford picks up the story.
Instead of him turning it out, he blew it out, and he became asphyxiated. Then the rumors are that he was really on to something, you know, that was going to benefit blacks, and maybe it was foul play.
Okay, so now they saying that He went up there, boom, the gas lights, because he was finna get gas. This 1906, he trying to get the gas back to the crib. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, nigga, we need this gas, boy. He done went up here. Boom, he trying to come back from out of town with the gas. You know what I'm talking about? And they murked my nigga. You know what I'm talking about? And said, oh yeah, he left the gas light on. You know what I'm talking about? The nigga so dumb that he blew it out. You know what I'm talking about? This how they tell you. Niggas bite down on that kind of shit too. You know what I'm talking about?
Somebody killed him.
Yes, now that was a rumor.
The D.C. death certificate said Harry Ford, age 70s. Cause of death, asphyxia.
He had $1,000 more when he left home. When he got it back, he didn't have a dime.
1906, man. This nigga riding around with a rack on him, bro. Huh? Boy, you nigga don't even understand, bro, how papered up dude was, bro. I'm finna go out of town, man. I got a band. I'm trying to go out of town, go get this gas, man, bring back to the crib. This shit ain't new, bro. This shit ain't new, bro.
I own him no way. Naturally wouldn't have. In the cheapest casket they could buy and shipped him back to Oklahoma.
As for the blacks Harry was trying to help, they lost out. But all of his and his second wife's descendants received 160 acres of creek land.
Man, you see this, bro? These niggas dip, bro. Niggas, not only is niggas fresh, but they having photo shoots. It's 1906, bro. Let you tell it, man. Europeans just slapping the shit out niggas all up down the street. You know what I'm talking about? We fresh in from Africa type shit. You know what I'm saying? Is the narrative that's being pushed to us. But meanwhile, in real life, niggas out here getting it.
A dime on him no way. Naturally wouldn't have. In the cheapest casket they could buy and shipped him back to Oklahoma.
As for the blacks Harry was trying to help, they lost out. But all of his and his second wife's descendants received 160 acres of creek land.
Him and his wife's descendants received 160 acres of creek land, bro. Why? Because they could prove that they were rightful owners of the land. Because these niggas learn how to finesse the system. They know how to... Hold on, man. We got to get some paperwork drawn up, dog. Because these motherfuckers trying to take... What? Oh, yeah, boom. We got a photo shoot. Boy, look at my niggas right there, boy. 1906. Let's go. Let's go. That's why they came 1920s, 1930s and start pushing niggas to Africa. Man, we got to get these niggas out of here, dog. We got to make these niggas think this somebody else land, dog, and they from somewhere else, bro. We got to...
They became targets for rip-offs by land speculators. And when oil was discovered on Harry's grandson Dan's land, he was essentially...
What? Huh? What? Oil? And these niggas was getting money, bro. These people wanted to X niggas out, bro. So it's 1906, so what is it now? 2018, nigga, that's over 100 years ago, bro. Over 100 years ago, we was balling. You know what I'm talking about? Is that what you learn in school? Is that what you feel like in yourself? That when you think to yourself, where was my people at 100 years ago? Do you think to yourself, they probably own hundreds of acres of land with oil? You know what I'm talking about? They probably had property. They probably was dip, you know what I'm saying, and fly shit, having photo shoots, going out of town with a rack on them. Is that what you think? Because that's what really was happening, bro. You probably imagine, damn, we had chains around us. Ooh, why motherfuckers sick of dogs on us? Bruh, that shit is all fucking propaganda, my nigga. You know what I'm talking about? Look at these niggas, bruh. Big acres, getting big money. Suited up. Man, check it out, bruh. Read a fucking book, man. Stop believing these niggas, dog.
Kidnapped.
Damn.
And they run him way out towards California trying to make him...
They kidnapped him when they found out oil was on his land. They kidnapped him.
They became targets for rip-offs by land speculators. And when oil was discovered on Harry's grandson Dan's land, he was essentially kidnapped.
Dan, they run him way out towards California trying to make him sell his place and all that. They called them land grafters.
Dan was no fool. He refused. Andrew said when oil was discovered on his allotment, he had no problem with land grafters, but later both he and Dan lost their wealth.
That's when they got Dan Tucker. The banks went busted and cleaned our ass out.
The end of Indian Territory meant the end of an era, of 40 years of tribal citizenship for blacks, the end of centuries of self-rule for the proud tribes, the Choctaws, Chickasaws, Cherokees, Creeks, and Seminoles.
So what happened to our land? How did they get niggas land, bruh? How did they get niggas land?
In the late 1800s, there was something called the Dawes Rolls, which was basically a census that made records of people's ethnic backgrounds in order to determine which Native American tribes would get certain land allotments and other benefits. After slavery, many black people were associated with some of these tribes by bloodline, through marriage, through adoption, and even servitude. And because they were associated with these tribes, many black people were entitled to some of these benefits. The government did not want blacks to get these benefits, so they created a separate freedmen's list.
What? Who don't want it? The government. The same government that got these niggas all on YouTube, all in the video, dancing. You know what I'm talking about? Virginia Native American. Get a good look at that, bro. Get a good look at yourself, bro. Get a good look at your people.
Black people were entitled to some of these benefits. The government did not want blacks to get these benefits, so they created a separate freedmen's list specifically for black people. They also started to list any full-blooded Native American who had African features as black because they didn't want them getting those benefits either. At the same
African features, nigga.
time, they allowed white citizens to come in and pay money under the table to be listed as part Native American.
1895 and 1896, when a lot of the whites found out the benefits that these blacks were going to be entitled to, a lot of whites went to the Dawes Commission and say, look, why don't you put my name on there? They said, but you're not an Indian. So that's what they said, well, I'll give you $5. So the rule got around, the policy got around that for $5, that a white could put his name on the Dawes rolls and be called himself an Indian and be entitled to all these benefits and all that.
Now, you see a lot of niggas that'll be commenting $5 Indians when you talk about the Native Americans being aboriginals. I mean, the so-called Negroes being the aboriginals, Native Americans, whatever word y'all want to use, nigga, Indians, nigga. You know what I'm talking about? Because Indians, that shit was only, that word is to describe us, my nigga. You know what I'm talking about? So anyway, what about the Europeans? So, bring it back, man. $5 Indians. So the $5 Indians, when you see niggas comment $5 Indian, when a nigga, me, nigga, if you see me in the chat or whatever, nigga, I'm feathers up, tribe up, nigga. Because I'm big woke, nigga. I don't have nothing to do with no nigga being my leader or none of that, nigga. And I reiterate that. You know what I'm saying? So when you see them niggas comment $5 Indians, that just proves to you how unlearned these niggas is and how to ignore these niggas, bro. You know what I'm talking about? You got to ignore these niggas because they blind. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no shame in it, ain't no recognition. Like a nigga once told me, man, tripping off these niggas, bro, is like tripping off getting undressed in front of a dog. You understand what I'm saying to you? Don't trip off them, man. The $5 Indians was the Europeans who paid the money to say that they Native Americans so that they could take our heritage, take our lineage. $5 Indian don't apply to nothing but that, my nigga. The fake natives, you know what I'm talking about? Because they wasn't niggas, they wasn't the Negroes. You know what I'm talking about? They was washed.
And be entitled to all these benefits, and all their children can be entitled to all these benefits forever. And so that became known as what's called a $5 Indian. And so if you go around now and check most of the Indians, the so-called Indians in America, about 90% of them are not even Indians. Those are just whites now who are passing as Indians. But they're getting all the benefits. And they're not paying any taxes, getting free college education. They put up a little reservation on the land that they don't live on. They have another home off and get all kind of benefits.
Iron Eyes Cody was another famous Native American person. He was in the media for years. In the 1970s, they utilized him for this pollution commercial. He was known as the Crying Indian. So he was a very well-known Native American.
Iron Eyes Cody. Now, I'll show you a picture. I just found a photo. He with the Pope. This nigga Sicilian. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he with the dumb diverses. You know what I'm saying? Gang. You know what I'm talking about? You know who he with. You know what I mean? So now they got him over here all in the video dancing like he the real Native American. And this is how niggas' minds is getting all warped. You know what I'm talking about? To where you so lost in the propaganda, you can't even see yourself as an Aboriginal. You can't even see yourself as Native because you've been so programmed to be African. To keep a nigga on some post-traumatic stress syndrome shit. You know what I'm saying? PTSD. Your kids, PTSD, they come to this world like, yeah, we was stolen. We came over here. We was brought over here as slaves. We lived 9,000 miles away or whatever the fuck. So everybody coming to this world, you know what I'm saying? All of our children coming to this world all confused and fucked up. Like, what? The whole time, bro, you at home. This your land. Motherfucker came over here, colonized us, and now they tricking us into thinking we from somewhere else to make their job easier. Because their job is to come and take our land, try to steal our heritage. This ain't new. You know what I'm talking about? None of this is new, bro. None of this is new.
In American culture, but the reality is, Iron Eyes Cody wasn't Native American at all. He was Sicilian. Both of his parents were from Sicily. So he didn't have one drop of Native American blood in him. He was another fake Indian.
Hey man, we just gonna stop it, man. And we don't want to make the video too long, man. So shout out, you know what I'm talking about, to everybody who watched the video this long. I appreciate it. You know, I do this for us. Like I say, this Hawk School, this is just homework. So take this and you go learn. Go look it up, bro. This is what I want you to look up. 1790, you know what I'm saying? Paper genocide. Racial Integrity Act, 1924. I want you to look up Walter Plecker, Plecker. Walter Plecker. Go see what he was doing. I'm gonna do a little more. I'm gonna do some more research on him and see if we can't get a video, put it together, man, and present it to the people, because, like I say, man, I'm learning too. You know what I mean? But it's time to wake up, bro. You know what I mean? Right on to the real, death to the fake. You know what it is. Imam_OG. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe. More to come, man. Stay woke. Peace and blessings.